biggest thing that has changed me in the way that, like, not only me as a loan officer, me as a leader, is doing things the best way they possibly can be done. And you've embodied that with the way that you lead people at Aspire. Like, hey, I'm not the best at this. I want to be, but you're still going to be better. Just analyzing everything that you do in your normal day-to-day tasks as a loan officer and saying, how can I do better at this? Because I think I'm the best. We all think we're the best. We've got the egos, we get the business end, but there's better ways to do it. There's people who have done it better. There's people who have built better systems. So just allow yourself to analyze the way that you do things, and then it'll allow you to actually take those strides and get more efficient in your business and actually have a better business and better quality of life.
Hey guys, Wally and Brock. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. You know, I learned over time a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show.
You know, it's funny. I say this all the time. I'm super excited about today, but honestly, today I really am. Super excited because one of my best friends is on the show with us. So welcome, Brock. You know,
It's good to be here.
We're homeboys, golfing buddies. What's beautiful about Brock and I, he's seen me at my best. He's also seen me at my worst. He's seen me punching the roof of a golf cart multiple times after missing a putt and frustration of a golf round. You know, I think it's comical. So like a year and a half ago, I quit drinking. And I'll tell you, swing lube, if you're a golfer, is like a real thing. It is a 1000% real thing. So I'm learning how to control my, not anger. Let's call it passion. Since this is like
I'd say passion. Yeah. You'll hit the roof, but then when I get frustrated after my shot, you're like, Brock, calm down. You have to mature in your golf game. But
yeah, the Tony Robbins part of me comes out, which reminds me, I can't tell you how many times I've done that with Braden, my son, and he's like, Dad, I don't need a coach right now. But anyway, so back to our world. So Brock, I love our friendship, but one thing I really, really love is how well you implement. So what I want people to kind of understand is what was our journey together? What have you picked up along the way that's helped you double your mortgage business? And he golfs more than I do. And like, you know, doubled your mortgage business, but also doubled your time off.
yeah, so I'll kind of start at the beginning where, like, just getting into mortgage and what you're saying with implementation. I knew that, like, when I got into mortgage, I had no money. I was driving Uber Eats and DoorDash to try to make things work. So when I was seeing things like 24/7, I was like, okay, these guys are successful. I'm in the same career path as them. So all I need to do is put these things into place. I've been in the mortgage business probably almost 5 years now. And every step has been a little bit different. Where started in the call center, jumped into retail, learned a little bit there, learned a little bit in the next spot. But as I started to take on all these different coachings, I'd watch every mortgage coach YouTube, everything that you would put out, every conference that you would, or like event that you would put on. I'd come there and learn all of these different steps. I wasn't quite seeing the success yet because I was like, man, I'm trying to do everything. Like you had a team doing $200 million. I'm a single dude that's doing 10 million and like working 70, 80 hours and trying to implement these new things. So this kind of gets to the beginning of our journey where I was trying to do these things. A lot of the post-closing stuff is really my breaking point where I was like, how do I manage these past clients now that I finally got past clients, but the platform that I was at just wasn't set up to be able to do it. So when we started meeting up, you started coaching me, and I saw the Aspire platform being built. I was like, man, it's in the broker space. I was scared of doing that just because I was always told I can only do 3 or 4 loans being in the broker space. I'm like, I'm in the stage of trying to scale. So when I see somebody doing $200 million jump into that space, he's going to bring the same systems, going to bring the same models of how he got there. And if it's built around that, then I'm going to be able to actually implement these coaching things.
Yeah, and I think also one thing we want to make sure that we hit on is let's elaborate on that. I mean, a big rebuttal that I hear is, yeah, it's super easy to do $200 million when you've got an army around you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair, and I'll accept that. I think it's BS, but fair. I'll accept that. But I was literally with zero loan officer assistance, zero LOA, zero. And I was disclosing my own loans and super archaic technology in 2013 doing $46 million in fundings by myself. So don't tell me that you can do 200 million, Wally, because you've got an army. But okay, why are you doing 15 million? Because you are a one person shop. And I think that's where it's a cop out. Like I'll be the first to tell you. I did 46 million being a one person shop or one person team. It's doable. But what's super cool about your story is, I mean, we partnered together back late 23. I think it was late 23. And it was, I mean, I remember was it January of 25 or something like that? I think it was January or February 25. You did like 4 million.
Yep.
And 100% self-source, 100% you, with zero loan officer assistant. Would you have ever put on the lenses of I can go from doing $1 million a month to 4 million a month and be a one person team?
Never in my mind did I think it was going to be possible. So I remember the first month, like my first like big month, did $1.5 million, and I felt like first the richest man in the world, and I felt like the busiest dude. I was reviewing applications at 3:30 in the morning before I'd go to the gym. So I was like, how did these people even doing 5 million in a month or 6 million, seeing people that did it and took vacations? I was like, this does not seem realistic. But a lot of the stuff that I've learned just as we've coached over a few years now is how do I put a system behind everything? Or you would always compare like creating an engine in my business. And with doing that, it allows me to, right now, I'll probably be around 30 million, and I work 20 hours a week on production. So I've been able to still do the same work, still doing the same phone calls. Now I've got a loan officer assistant that's going to help me scale a little bit more, but like with my time commitment, it's still the same task. I just know how to organize the day and then have technology work alongside it. That way I'm not waking up at 3:30 in the morning unless I absolutely want to.
Well, that's the number one thing I roll my eyes when a loan officer says, oh, it's so easy to do 200 million when you've got an army. So I want you to digest that. The dude did 4 million by himself without Wally's army. And then also on top of that, now he's doing 30 million with one LOA working 20 hours a week. Now that is a quality of life and a quality of business. 30 million production, 20 hours a week with an LOA. But I mean, let's just rat you out here for a second. I would literally have to like put you in a headlock to tell you to hire a flipping LOA. And you would still tell me I'm an idiot. And like, no, I'm not doing it.
It took me a while.
Like, what was the mindset shift that you finally listened to the old man and you hired your dang loan officer assistant?
I love becoming more efficient on anything I'm doing. Okay. So every time I started to like look at hiring an LOA, I'm like, how can I create this technology or this automation to be able to do as close as I can to what I'm doing right now? That way I can get what's the top level of production I can get to without an LOA, where I probably could have kept going and you would have kept nagging me about it, but it's been a great for me right now. This month, I think I'll be a little over 4 million again. And with being there, my time commitment hasn't went up. My following up on documents, I've got an LOA. So those are things that I was trying to automate, but now having like actual human leverage, it's helped a ton for me to think about how do I get to 40 and 50, whereas before it was how do I get from 30 to 35. It was just like small little things I could do with efficiency. So it's the speed of getting where I want to go. That's really helped finally like taking the step and hiring somebody.
It's interesting. When I wrote the book 24/7 Mindset, one of my favorite chapters in there is about leverage. And I talked about how there's 3 types of leverages: human leverage, systems leverage, and technology leverage. And I mean, I remember Alec, which is a mutual friend of ours, had asked me, he goes, I think you've got that backwards, because I said it's in that order. human leverage first, systems leverage second, then technology leverage. And I will tell you, I've tried it the other way.
Mhm.
I've tried to build the system the first, then hire the loan officer assistant, and it doesn't work. What's made me really successful in my career is I walk in every room, tell everybody I'm the stupidest person in the room, tell everybody they're the smartest
Mhm.
person in the room, and I just soak up everybody's intelligence, everybody's work ethic, everybody's wisdom, everybody's experience. So you hire the human first,
Mhm.
you both build a system together, then you use technology to keep the human accountable.
Mhm.
And when did you start see that light? Because I think that was a mindset shift for you
Mhm.
because it took you a super duper long time um to actually understand you've got to hire the human because
Mhm.
they're the ones that actually build the system
Mhm.
and they're use the technology to keep them accountable.
Yeah, where I was doing the exact opposite when I was arguing with you about hiring an LOA, where I'm really good with technology. I love
Yeah.
like working on like even in my free time, I'll be working on things with technology. It's just fun to me. And systems that kind of comes along with that. So I was like, how do I scale that as much as possible? But now that I've been able to like see really the comparison I made as we'd worked together for a few years now is the way that you've been able to build teams, build companies, and the way that you've done it is repeated with people that build the systems. And like for yourself, not to rat you out, you're not great with technology, but you've always had great technology around you. And it's
Mhm.
not because you sat down and had all of these little ideas where you have the vision of what like you wanted to go or where you wanted to go, but then you just brought people, you empowered them to be able to take on those tasks, empowered them and like supported them to build systems. And then they went out and built the technology. Like there's technologies here at Aspire that you probably don't even know about that are getting built, but you've empowered people to go out and do them.
Well, it's funny. It's like I love, 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 love telling everybody I'm the dumbest person in the room. Not necessarily try to be conniving, but like, so Paige is behind the camera. I'm going to ride her out here. I love when I go to Paige. I'm like, holy crap, Paige! Like this YouTube thing is like a real thing. It's going to be flipping awesome, but I don't know this. Like, I just don't
Yep.
get it. And then I hire Paige a coach. Then I bought Paige a course last night that I'm surprising her live, telling her on TV today. And then I blow up her Instagram and email with like, videos that I find on YouTube to the point where she's like, she sat me down on Monday and it's like, hey, you're a Yahoo. Here's what I'm gonna do for you on YouTube. I'm gonna do these videos. This is how I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, oh my God, Paige, you're my savior. Like, and like, boom. Like, but what most people don't understand is every majority of people want to walk in the flipping room, tell Paige they're the smartest person in the room, tell Paige why they're so great at YouTube. And it's complete flipping ego.
Mhm.
And I think that's the number one differentiator between me and most people that succeed and don't is the I have an ego just like everybody else has an ego. But my ego comes from building the team where it's a collaborative effort to be able to succeed,
Mhm.
not necessarily the efforts that I've accomplished myself. I think where most loan officers still have a large ego, and I want to hear like how you've been able to tame yours, but most loan officers have a huge ego of them wanting to feel like they're the hero in the story. I've learned to be the guide in the
Mhm.
story.
Where like for myself, the ego is big even after hiring the LOA because like it was all my muscle to get to the point of production
Yeah.
prior to that. Where it's how hard can I work? How many hours can I work to get here? And it was draining me. I didn't know how to like truly have a career doing this. So bringing in an LOA, I'm like, okay, I'm the best at doing loans. I'm the one that's able to bring this in. I'm the one that landed this relationship.
Yeah.
But when I had an LOA, I'm like, hey, you do every last step I had, which I still do this a little bit, but I documented out like everything down to the very word. And it would just frustrate me if everything wasn't exactly the way that I did it. But then me and my LOA sat down after just having some tension around that. He was like, man, I've been doing this for X amount of time. Here's what I've seen successful. Here's
Mhm.
what I've seen fail. And once he's the one that's telling me the things that he's going to be doing and how I still want it in line with my models and my systems. But when he's saying, hey, I'm going to do it this way, and I've seen success here, he started to take ownership of it. And
Yeah.
then now I don't even have to follow up on him because I know here's the task that he has already like said, this is the way I like to do it. This is the way that works a little bit better than the way that you were doing it. And like when he has the ownership of that piece, it allows me to have a lot more of my freedom back. But if I'm the one that's creating and telling him every last thing that he has to do, he doesn't have any ownership, then it's frustrating anytime that I'm holding him accountable, and then you end up having a teammate that leaves.
What's funny also, I mean, if you count, what do you think the number of Instagram reels that you and I send back to each other back and forth a month? It's probably like 3 digits easily.
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 I think I was sending them to you at 1:00 in the morning last night.
100%. And I responded this morning. But I mean, I think one of my favorite ones I think that you've sent me, and I think I've probably even sent to you multiple times, is the dumbest thing a leader can ever do. The dumbest thing you can ever do as a loan officer is hire great talent and tell them what to do. Hire great talent and tell them what to do. Like Paige, again, is behind this camera. Like, she knows social media better than I do. She knows YouTube better than I do. She grew up in a generation of technology that I didn't. She's got resources that I never had. Why the heck am I going to sit down with her and say, hey, here's a 9-page PowerPoint of what I want you to do on a daily basis? And I think the biggest challenge I see with loan officers, and there was a loan officer that works with us here at Aspire that I won't say his name so he doesn't feel like ratting him out. But he's came to me maybe 4 months ago with literally like a 16-page document, font size 11, of what he wanted his loan officer assistant to do and the time block and the responsibilities and I'm like, and I said, you know what the hardest thing about getting an LOA to do all this is finding the flipping LOA. So what are you going to do to find the right partner? And I remember you and I went through that same exercise, and he takes him a couple months. He finds it right LOA, and he's now, it's like, hey, I think I hired the wrong person, And I said, you know, the second hardest thing to do is humble yourself to where you are the leader that they want to follow. And like, nobody wants to follow a leader as a loan officer, assistant, or a branch manager, whatever, that comes in and tells everybody how great they are. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Like, how have you grown in that leadership where the younger Brock that I met a few years ago wanted everybody to know how bad he really is, and like, now I love like your humble confidence.
Yeah, we're like going into, like, we'll just stay on the LOA conversation. Going into it, I had to really step back, and I looked at the way that you led just with Aspire itself, but with looking at the way that we'll have conversations about even other things outside of origination with Aspire. It's like taking a step back, and you'll fully admit, hey, I'm really great in this space and I'm not good in this space, so I need you to own this. And it really empowered me, where like I was 26 years old and I'm like, okay, like this is my first time doing this, but I know I love researching it. I love building it. But you, like, going into that, I had the confidence to be able to step out and like take risks and try things, because you just acknowledged that when we were having meetings. So with my LOA, when I'm stepping in, hey, I'm really good on the sales side. I'm really good on the phone. I'm pretty good at technology, but he's on the computer all day, every day. He probably finds different efficient ways to do things. So me being able to step back and say, hey, I'm great at this, set me up for this, but then you've like work out the way that's going to help you be efficient in your time, help him to kind of see the vision that I've been able to create on me as a loan officer to be able to scale my production and minimize my time at work. Same thing for him. I want him to be able to still grow our production together and him have a quality of life as well. But it's not going to happen if I say, here's 16 pages of every last detail that you have to do.
I just had a super squirrel moment.
I could tell.
And I can't fight it. So I'm just going to convey into it. All right. When have I really pissed you off? What's like a memory? Let's wrap.
We've only got an hour.
Yeah, seriously. Wherever I really, hopefully it's not on the golf course, but wherever I really pissed you off, that you're like, this is something no one knows about Wally. Like this Yahoo.
And this is kind of lighthearted, but you're really, really bad at emailing.
Yeah.
Like really bad at emailing, and you send books. And they're bad. I get the concept, but so that it just, if I'm busy and I see like 7 emails come over from Wally and they're all 7 pages long and they demand a response right now.
They're all on the weekend.
Yeah. They're all like, I'll spend my weekend trying to catch up or get ahead or be working on something. I'm like, okay, my tasks are finally done. I can relax.
Yeah.
Then here's 7 new ideas of things that like, and it excites me too. I'm like, damn it, Wally, like, what are we doing here? And it's fun. It's part of partnering together, but
That's probably the one of my worst qualities is when I like think of an idea, I will literally go watch like 10, 12 hours of YouTube videos researching it. I'm like, oh my God, this video is awesome. Boom. I'd send out an hour long video. Like, you got to watch this. Love to get your feedback. Like, an hour later, you're getting another one. An hour later, you're getting another one.
Yeah.
And you come to your inbox Monday morning and you're like, here's 10 hours of YouTube. Paige is laughing in the background. She gets.
So when we started working together, Caleb, me and him would sit down and talk about it. I was like, man, I'm just trying to understand like how to work with him, like his personality. And it was never a like, I don't like you. It's just like, how do I respond to him?
Yeah.
Which as we brought on processors and different operational staff, like I would almost have like a Wally training on here's how Wally communicates.
Yeah.
Here's how you communicate back. And it's nothing bad. It's just, hey, you've got a way with ideas and vision, and you want everybody to be as successful as possible. You've already got your life, even if Aspire wasn't even a thing. But you love doing it. And when people see like, hey, is he frustrated? Is something on? No, he just has ideas of what he wants things to grow to, and wants you to own your job and do the best at your job and enjoy your job. So it's not an extra task. It's not homework for them to do. It's actually you looking out and saying, hey, I want you to be the best that you possibly can in this role, and it's going to make your life better.
I think one of the biggest mistakes also, or challenges that I have, let's say challenges that I have in my role is, again, humbly, most people find me aspiring. And most people are finding
what you did there.
Most people find me inspiring. Most people find me motivational. And the challenge is when you find a mentor that inspires you or motivates you, you want to impress them.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge with most teammates that I've had over the years is when they try to impress, they stretch themselves out. And when you stretch yourselves out, you're putting more hours in, you're putting more bandwidth in. Mm-hmm. You at some point, that rubber band, you've got to retract. And
that's never happened between us before.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I got to build this up a little bit. And but let's just jump to that. Like, how I bet there's probably been times with you and I that you're like, holy moly, like this guy just won't flip and stop. I can't give him any more.
Yeah, it's definitely been there. Where at the very beginning, like it was to the point where like you were showing me the systems and models that you built, being able to do 200 million. And I was like, hey, I want to be fully ingrained in this. You're like, hey, here's how calendar invites are sent. Here's how notes are sent on a file. Here's the flow of this phone call. And here's how, like, I remember even reaming me for the way that I send out a pre-approval letter. Yeah. And it got to the point where I remember like one time I was driving, it was on a Friday afternoon, driving to an Airbnb, and you're like, hey, need this out right now, just like this. And I was driving and I said, hey, somebody was sitting in my back seat, had them pull out the computer and type up the pre-approval letter, like, and pull up the computer up to the front seat. But I was like, okay, I'm going to do everything to try to like hit this to a T on exactly how it's done. But with what we're talking about with emails and like ideas and vision of like what you can do. And part of it's with that this is kind of a different note, but with 24/7, when you've got your 100 question questionnaire, when we're talking to loan officers at Aspire, it's intimidating to go through like all the things that you've built with the 6-lane highway. And if you try to tackle every last thing, then it becomes what we're talking about with being overwhelming of too much going on and you're just going to break. But that allows me to like channel, okay, what's the most important piece right now? Because you're going to be throwing all these YouTube videos or throwing all these ideas, but what's the most important thing right now that we can execute to be able to move the business forward?
Yeah, it's interesting because I had an aha last night. So I did a 1-hour webinar yesterday at 11 a.m. I think it was Central, and I watched it. I watched it twice last night. So I invested 2 hours watching it. I literally have like 3.5 pages worth of notes, and I watched it again this morning. And so I'm sitting there I'm watching game film, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking for ways to improve. And I think the biggest challenge in my world is a mistake that I keep making, that I've made over and over, and I try to coach others not to make, is that everybody overestimates what they can do in a year, and everyone underestimates what they can do in 5 years.
Mhm.
And that hour-long webinar I did yesterday, I overshared. And I was talking to Kai this morning, and I said, dude, like, I can literally spend an hour. It's like 3 sections: the 5th page of the 10 to 3, the client concierge, and the 6-lane highway. And it's like I've spent like 7 minutes on each one of them. And I sit there, I was telling Kai, like, I need to break this down. So I'm going to do a webinar a month, but like January is going to be everything and anything client concierge. February is going to be everything and anything 5th page of the 1003. Then March is going to be everything and anything 6-lane highway. Then I'll reduplicate that through the quarters. When I look at something like that, it's like what took me decades to build,
Mhm.
I can't give you in an hour. And I think it's the number one biggest mistake that most people make. They see the success that I've had and they try to reduplicate it in a weekend.
Mhm.
Then they fail. Then like, oh, I suck. And so what advice do you have for others of being firsthand behind the curtains with me, in the trenches with me, of trying to reduplicate success that I've had into your business and forgetting that I've done this for 26 years?
Yeah, that's kind of takes me back to it may have been our very first conversation. I remember sitting in your office and like asking about that, asking about your goals, asking about your planning and how you went from like how you had the huge jump where usually a loan officer isn't still doubling their business when they're at $80 million.
Yeah.
So seeing that huge jump, I was like, okay, how'd you do it? I want to implement that right now. I want to be able to make it. Our whole conversation was how can I make the most amount of money possible? And I just had no concept. It was just muscle work as hard as you can. You're like, hey, here's like 10 binders that you pulled out, and you still put everything on paper, which is crazy. But you pulled out all these binders, and it had add the referral here, add this little piece here. You're like you're saying with game film, you're analyzing everything that you've ever done, and you made a small little tweak here. It's already your process that you had, but you added this one section for the teammates to be able to ask for the referral here, ask for it here, ask for it here, and that multiplied your business. So with me looking at where I was at, I tried to immediately jump into the entire 6-lane highway. And with doing that, I was like, okay, I already have financial advisors, CPAs, family will attorneys. I've already got those people, but like I don't have a huge database. I haven't been in the business a long time. I didn't know how to acquire other people's databases. So there's all these different steps that I had to go through to be able to have the success that really churns out the business and has an engine that's actually bringing me referrals back in. I wanted that the very first week. And I know that you've used a comparison of like, hey, this is like a crock pot. This isn't call 40 realtors, try to get a deal today. This is building like a true business that allows you to step away, allows you to have a residual income off of your mortgage business. So the biggest thing would be seeing what's going to move the needle just a little bit rather than like, because all of the things that you're teaching with 24/7, you've got examples, you've got history of it being successful. But if someone tries to do all of that without even having a baseline of an annual mortgage review or how to set up an annual mortgage review, all the rest is going to fail. So when I was trying to do it all at once, we started out, I remember on a Saturday, I was up here stressing completely about it. And I totally failed, but I'm trying to implement all these things. And then you call me and we do a mock annual mortgage review. And I just fell on my face. It was awful, but I was spending all this time studying all the pieces of the 6-lane highway and of like the 24/7 courses. I hadn't started with the base thing of being able to like really truly perfect that call verbally to be able to be able to pull referrals out of my database. You're like, hey, don't focus on how to land this meeting with a family will attorney. Let's focus on how to actually take care of your clients and provide value. That way you can be in a position to refer them out.
It's interesting. One of my favorite things to do is to say ring, 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 and you go into it. And
I panicked.
It's funny. Like I would just call Brock out of the blue, and he thinks I'm calling to like go play golf or something. I'd be like, all right, ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is Mike, and that's my ring, ring, ring name, Mike. And what's super cool, dude. Like hopefully you experience this one day. But like my 18-year-old Alex, he dials for the client concierge team, and I do it with him now. And that little booger has gotten so great at it. But it's funny how like verbal strength, verbal finesse is the number one biggest weakness any salesperson has.
Mhm.
And I think when I look at the world of loan officers, what I want you to kind of share a little bit about of like, okay, I gave you ideas, I gave you systems, I gave you models, but if you can't convert, if you're not verbally strong enough, or you don't have the verbal finesse, you're never going to monetize.
Mhm.
So how did that verbal finesse evolve to where you're now able to monetize on the systems I gave you, on the models I gave you? Thanks, man.
That's where you've said it time and time again, but it's everything's about framing. And with every book that I got obsessed with reading books probably like 5, 6 years ago, right before getting into mortgage. And I was just reading everything under the sun without much of a direction. And I know Hermosi talks about this, where he read every single business / self-help book. And then at the end of it, he was the same exact person. So I started looking at, like, from our conversations, you're always talking about framing. You're really good. Like I said, you're awful at emails, but when you get on a phone call, there's like, you could convince me of anything. So I'm like, how does he make me believe and want to like agree with something, even if we start the conversation and we're completely on a different page, but we get off of the conversation. I'm like, okay, I get where he's coming from, and now I want to actually do it. So with the way that I've changed the way I look at books is, okay, this month I'm going to be focused on something around persuasion or just framing or the way that you bring across an idea, not because like I'm really good on a sales call, but it was kind of like up in the air. Kind of, I'll just like go off the seat of my pants for how I have the conversation. But now when I'm doing a review of a mortgage coach, every way that I like label something and every way that I set up the graphs on there is all set up to be able to lead them down a path to get them to agree with the option that I think is going to be best for them. So it's not that I'm trying to manipulate. Well, kind of am trying to manipulate their mind to be able to get them to that point. But I'm able to do that with conversations with my LOA, conversations with the borrower about getting documents now, conversations with other loan officers at Aspire. And it's like, you're doing the same thing, but I was very like, I would say blunt with the way that I'd have conversations before of saying, hey, you should get it. Here's the way to do it. Here's the right thing. Here's the right option. Where like going that roundabout way and being able to use your words to be able to bring them into the idea has been a complete game changer. Because if I'm like doing a high trust call, if I'm having like trying to get the converted client to be able to actually lock their loan in with me, if I'm not able to lead them down that path, then I'm nothing more than just quoting another interest rate. So just using your words, crafting it. It's not even just scripting, but how am I going to be able to lead them down this path is the way that I try to think about everything now after our conversations.
Well, I think also now I just realized and learned why when you try to negotiate with me, you don't do it in person. You only do it via email.
I'm really good on email. I'm very persuasive on email.
He's going to slide. All right. That's funny. Note to self. All right. So, but I think that one of the biggest challenges is in sales, what most people don't understand is to be really persuasive, you've got to sell the problem. You've got to sell the pain. And no one makes this decision to go to pleasure without experiencing pain first. And when you help them emotionally connect with the problem, help them emotionally connect with the pain, the sacrifice, the struggle, they want the heck out of like pain zone. And then you're there with a roadmap of being the savior to be able to get them out of pain zone. And if you're a loan officer, if you learn that one simple skill, take them to pain before you take them to pleasure, it is so much easier to have a higher conversion rate.
Yeah, I remember from the beginning, I just tried, like I would sit in your office when you do calls with clients, and getting off or sitting there, I'd try to be taking notes on like what you did. You're like, okay, that seemed like a normal conversation. And you're like, what'd you learn from it? And you would have a reason for the way that you opened the call, with the way that you'd make them laugh, or the type of joke that you'd say. And I remember one time you were joking around. It was probably 30 seconds in. I think you're talking to a long lost best friend. And you're like, this is the first time I've ever talked to this guy, but I have enough information to be able to make him trust me, and then allow me to get to the point that I need to be able to get him into this. I think it was a refinance that you were doing, but you pulled out exactly what you needed to right after you got him to trust you. And like I said, it's not like a negative manipulation, but it allows you to actually make them see the actual problem, which you're really good at pulling that out.
One thing also, the sales 101, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? In other words, no one wants to give you money unless they feel like they've got a relationship with you.
Mhm.
It's just that simple, right? So when you sit there and I take the first 2-3 minutes getting to know who the client really is. And where I think most people really fail is they only listen. And what I mean by that is they only listen to the words. They don't listen to the emotions behind the words. And when you learn to listen to the emotions behind the words, you learn to listen and digest pitch,
Mhm.
tone, pauses, emphasis. You want to dig deep. You want to be able to find a pain source and dig deeper in that pain source. But if you're not a great listener of listening to the emotions behind the words and you only listen to the words, you're a superficial salesperson that's going to have a low conversion rate.
Yeah, where something I've noticed just with conversations together is like the exact spot. Like right when I'll say something, you'll stop and be like, "Hey, elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Like, tell me more about
I
that."
want you to create more pain for
Yeah,
yourself.
even if you just sense that there's something more
Mhm.
there, and you know when to stop. Where it's not every single time I say something, you say elaborate on that, then it just gets annoying. There's not
Yeah.
pain. But once you find that right entry point of being able to get them to go that level deeper, then everything just feels.
So I've gotten you to open up with the pain. Then I
Mhm.
summarize that by, okay, so let me make sure I understand you correctly, Brock. You're saying da 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 pain is causing you da 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 sacrifice, which is hurting you to be able to accomplish A, B, and C. And you've tried these options, but you've failed at it, and you're at a loss. Is that kind of like where I'm understanding we're at? Like now you're in your mind, you're going, oh, holy crap, like this dude like understands me. This dude gets me. And it's not manipulation, it's connection.
Yeah.
Like I didn't manipulate you. It's not like I'm selling you crack or something.
Mhm.
I'm getting you to feel connected to me where you want me in your inner circle. And then I can close you in your inner circle with a lead to app or a high trust call or a lock call or a realtor or a financial advisor or any of that.
Yeah. But you get to the point where this person who is listening to me like understands where I'm at, understands where I want to go, and they actually care about getting there. Where if you're just trying to get through and make everything sound pretty, then you don't really care.
Yeah.
But that elaborate and then restating and then getting the agreement from them, it's like, hey, Wally actually cares about this conversation. Maybe a 5-10 minute call, and this is the first time we've talked, but he truly sees where I'm at and sees where I need to be.
Yeah. Talk about some transformations. I mean, now you're at a leadership role at
Mhm.
Aspire. Who's been under your mentorship? Where were they? And you don't need to give names unless you want to, but where were they previously, and where have you been able to help them go?
Yeah. So I'm saying I love systems. I love technology, and like there's something about making like I know I've mentioned it multiple times. I love making emails look good,
Mhm.
worksheets look good, reports look good, because I think if we do things with quality and we do things with standards, it's going to allow to get into every area of the business. So I remember one teammate. She's been with you a while. Well, I'll know who we're talking about. But with the way that she'd operate, she's really, really good at what she does. But when I'm coming in, even just the way that we like review financials together, help with loan officers with their P&Ls, like, hey, this box is a little bit different. Let's make sure we have the same quality. That way this person knows we care about getting them paid on every single dollar that they need. Or this report that we're bringing back to Wally that we're going to tear apart, I want it to be in a way that they're able to communicate everything that we need. And yes, it's not important that this box is the same color color of purple as we did over here, but that quality piece is going to be able to like sync over to the way that you handle your conversations with that person, because they see how much you care about the
Yeah.
like small details. Which at the beginning I thought it was a lost cause, because like I said, she's really great at what she does, but she has her methods of doing things. So once and slowly over time being able to say, hey, here's why this is important. Here's why we see quality turn into better things and better conversations with a loan officer. Then she's like, okay, now I understand that. Now I understand why formatting matters to you, because it's going to come across with how much I care about like protecting whatever they like for the loan officer, their money or their loans. So just leading down that path of why it's important to do things the best way that you possibly can, and you have it in your book. I probably repeated this more than anything out of your book, is doing things the like best way they can be done,
Yeah.
not just the best way I can do it, or however you said it in the book. But that concept of, okay, I know that this is good, and I know that this is still going to get across the same thing for those same conversations, pulling reports and making things look good. I know this is good. It gets across the purpose of what we're doing, but I know I can do it better, and I know that it's worth trying to give the best quality that I possibly can. Now, on my side, I can kind of become a perfectionist and have to like find a way to not let that stop me from continuing to do things. But anytime I see like, okay, I did that, I've been doing this like same task repeated for a long period of time. How do I make this the best possible way? So is it doing research? Is it
Yeah.
helping? Is it helping that person just understand the purpose again? But it's every last thing that I do throughout the day is that the best way to possibly do it, or am I just getting used to my normal method of doing something?
Yeah. And I think also like, but I think it's maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, I ripped to shreds so you do a leadership meeting every Thursday for an hour. And what I got really frustrated with you with was you're so flipping smart with technology and you assume everybody else around you is. And I remember being on the phone with you. I was driving to work and I was yelling at you on the phone. And I'm like, you're brilliant with technology and you explain it in such a nonchalant way that you just assume like everybody's, dude, I explained it in 14 seconds. Why have you not mastered it already? Right. So elaborate a little bit about that. Why is technology so easy for you, and how have you grown your leadership to be able to coach and teach other loan officers in a way that you actually slow down for them to be able to speed up?
Yeah. That call that you were tearing into me, it just kind of opened my eyes where the example that I was giving was a normal way that I prepare numbers for a borrower and
Yeah.
do it multiple times a day. I could do it basically do it with my eyes closed. I did it in 10 minutes on that call, and while I'm talking and sharing my screen, and I'm like, okay, guys, you got it. Okay, we're hopping off. Talk to you next week. And I thought it was like the most boring lesson that I probably could have brought across. I'm like, did I just waste their time and just fill this up with something that they're never going to come back to? But I got text messages, emails, feedback. Can you do more things like this? And then you tore into me. You're like, hey, like that's actually something that not many people can do that quick, or do with that quality. And I think for me, I just assumed. So now when I'm looking back on still doing those Thursday meetings, like what's every single task that I'm doing, and like I've been able to be successful and grow the mortgage business well. And part of that's because I've found systems and I've looked at doing things the best way. So with having those calls now, I'm like, okay, is it as simple as the way that I review an application, where everybody's reviewing applications, everybody with Aspire is using the same software, but how can I do it in a better way that allows me to actually have free time, and the other person who's doing the same amount of volume takes them all day once they get this many applications come across. So for me, it's able to take a step back and see that like there's a lot of stuff that you're good at that I'm not good at. There's stuff I'm good at that you're not good at. But in my mind, if I'm good at something, it's simple and you should be able to understand that. So with me looking at loan officers, I'm like, okay, just because I see all these tasks as really easy, I've been with Aspire since just about day one. I mean, we were in diapers. So everything that like from the original email passwords getting set up, like I was here, I was through with building it. So when I see the way that I'm able to do things so quickly and do it in a very high quality way, everybody hasn't been around for that. Everybody hasn't built that. So I understand the guts to it.
Mhm.
So when it comes to bringing across the loan officers, it's everything that I do or everything that you do, just even if we see it as simple, this could be something that gets that next person to the very next step that they need to.
I mean, what you need to digest, though, maybe this will help get it across for you. What do you think the average age of a loan officer is?
Oh,
Just guess, best guess.
I'm going 52.
Okay, cool. 52. What's 52 minus 26?
26.
Sure.
Wait,
So it's about,
I think, did I do that math right?
so it's, in other words, if they're 52, then that means they were born in the early 70s. Is that fair?
Mhm.
Okay. So if they're born in the early 70s, and I was born in the late 70s, but if they're born in the early 70s, how much technology you at 28 now?
29 now.
29 now.
Getting up there.
Getting up there. 29 years old now, and you're born in the late 90s. So how much technology do you get a chance to grow up with versus how much technology does somebody in the early 70s get a chance to grow up with?
Yeah.
And I think that's the number one area you need to grow and understand more as you coach and lead more loan officers. These people grew up in the flipping 70s and in the 80s. Like I remember being the coolest kid in school as senior high school because I had a pager. Being like thought I was the bomb.com at like early 20s because there was a car cell phone that had a long cord that was connected to the car, and that's like you had to pay for like minutes, and like where you guys grew up with iPhones and YouTube at your fingertips, and like
my first phone was an iPhone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
God, I wish I had that Nokia. Then it was a BlackBerry. But the point I'm trying to make is like you slice and dice through a mortgage coach total cost analysis in like 14 seconds, and like look at the loan officer like they're stupid because it took them like 15 minutes. And like you got your app on your phone for Jungo and Salesforce. And I think what you've got to remember is all of us grew up in the average of us in the 70s and in the 80s and 90s and the 2000s. We didn't grow up with that type of technology.
Yeah, we're even so I was 11 years old and I saved up money to buy my first iPhone. This was my first phone altogether. I'm surprised my parents even let me get it at that age. But with looking at that, like had the iPhone, but then there was so much technology that was coming out in 2007, 8, 9. So like every year there's something new to learn. There's a new platform that was coming out where like it was MySpace, then Facebook and Instagram. And like, so every year there was a new device, a new platform that I was just trying to learn because it was like we're in middle school, high school, trying to be the popular kids and understand what's changing in the world. Where trying to think through 70s and 80s, there's not really much like major stuff that's happening as far as technology innovations where it could be stuff in the house, but not like in your day to day where it's been so crucial to be able to understand technology. And like now even getting to AI, I'm kind of having the same feeling of some like thinking of somebody that just gets introduced to using computers or like it's getting used to some of these softwares that rather than just spitting out a PDF for going over numbers with somebody. But now when I'm like thinking about trying to use AI with all the different platforms that are out there, all the different AIs that have been developed, for me, it's starting to be a little bit overwhelming, but I'm like, okay, this is important. This is good to like, I need to be researching it. But people that are in their early 20s or going through college right now, they're the same way that I'm thinking about like using a iPhone, using an iPad, using those softwares 10, 15 years ago. So I've got to stay up on AI. I've got to stay up on the things that are happening right now and always like continue to let that happen because those are the things that are help me excel with anything that I want to do.
I mean, let's go down that path. So when you look at like Sam Altman, he said, I think this number is correct, but he said there's going to be $1 billion company with one human being as the only employee. And I don't think he said trillion. I think he said $1 billion company. And a lot of it was going to be AI driven and such. When you look at that, I'd bet every dollar I have and then some that I bet you a loan officer today can do $100 million in production with using AI and maybe one LOA. Where like the first year that I broke 100 million was 2016 and I had a 17-person team.
Are you still mailing credit reports or faxing credit reports at that point?
No, that was like 2000 and that was in 99, 90. I think it was like 2004. We got a fax machine and we thought we were the hot stuff.
Yeah, that's with just getting into what we were talking about at the beginning with human leverage and systems and technology. It's the same thing. So as all of these different things shift, you still had the same stuff back there. A fax machine was your technology leverage at
like
the time.
My Wednesday calls were Wednesday faxes that I sent out to realtors, and I'd call them and say, "Did you get my fax?" Like I wish you would laugh your tail off if you saw it.
Like looking back, and that's the kind of the tie that I try to make with mortgage coach, or the tie to the way
I gotta have this one. Yeah, the old guy in me is kicking in. And don't lose that thought though. Do you know how you submitted a file to underwriter? You grab your file, you go to copy machine, copy it completely, then you got to overnight it, which took 4 days to be the ship to an underwriter.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have stuck around mortgage through that.
when you close and fund the loan for it to go to shipping, so you actually get your commission, You had to copy the file. And these things were like literally like that thing. You had to copy the file, stand in front of a copier for an hour and a half, 2 hours, copying each page, each section, and just to ship it to the funding department.
I don't know how you guys suck it out.
All right. Sorry, scroll on. You got to feed your family. That's all we know. So,
but yeah, so like thinking about like going back to that time frame where like things were really inefficient, you still had a system around it, you still had your technologies that you use. So it's just, as I'm looking at like continuing to grow in the mortgage business, I'm still 29. I plan on doing this for a long time. Really enjoy it. So it's like, as things keep going, if I just stay with my fax machine, I would look like an idiot today. So
Yeah.
everybody's like adjusted a little bit, but like, how do you like stay at the like ahead of the curve with AI or with even stuff like Mortgage Coach or Salesforce? Because my Salesforce alone has allowed me to like create a lot of the efficiency that I had, where my work hours just drop down significantly. So if I have my Wednesday calls, I hit one button and I just start prospecting. Whereas a lot of people are thinking through, okay, where's my pipeline at? Who's the title company on this? Who's the insurance agent? But all you have to do with that technology is hop in, and now I make my calls and move on with my day. So I'm thinking about AI. I'm like, okay, how many of these things? And I think that's going to be the next thing, that the next fax machine for loan officers. But for us scaling, okay, what are the things that I can implement with this that's going to give me the leverage to be able to do more business, getting up to 100 million?
Well, you've got a special gift, and I'll give you credit for this. I remember when you joined Team Wally 2.0 in 2023, one of my standards was you'd have to use my Salesforce Jingo. And you said no. And I'm like, what do you mean you say no to me? No one says no to me. And you said, yours is so flipping archaic and mine is so much better. No, I'm not using yours. So we sat down and like, here's, I mean, what were you, like a $10-15 million producer?
Yeah.
Telling me that his CRM was better than my $200 million a year producing mortgage team CRM. What mine was archaic. And we sat down and I'm like, holy crap, you're right. And what was super cool is like, we took your flow, your system, all your everything, and then we top graded ours and then top graded the companies. And I think I've got to remind you at times like that, because technology comes so easy to you. And the older generation, even people in their 30s and 40s, it doesn't. So my encouragement to you is to slow down so they can speed up.
I don't want to miss like even that scenario. I was scared to say that to you, because like before we worked together, you'd always talk about your stats. You'd always talk about your reports and your conversion and your referrals out. And I'm like, man, he's got to have the best, coolest built out system ever to be able to do this. And I was already confident in what I'd been able to build.
Yeah.
So when I see it, I'm like, okay, he's still able to have success with that. But when I came to you, your first reaction was, okay, no, mine's great. You're like, you don't do any business. But then once you finally sat down, it wasn't Brock, nope, we're using mine, or like, go kick, like, get out of here.
No, you go. I just want to win.
Yeah. And you quickly just said, hey, and this is where we're getting back to the leadership of you empowering me to do it. You're like, great, you built that there. Do you mind like working with our head of technology here at Aspire and then build this out for everybody? And I was so prideful. You saw that about the way that I built out mine. So then it made somebody prideful to be able to build that out for the company. And you're not in there coding anything, but I ran with it and now top graded things. So if I wasn't empowered to do that, then we would have been in the spot of having your archaic CRM and using like 4 different things to track leads. But now everything is streamlined. You didn't have to step in and do it, but you empowered 2 people to be able to take over it.
Well, I look back at how much time and volume and success I wasted over my career. You know, I talk about 2013 doing 46 million as a solo loan officer. Literally in 2013, you would take a handwritten loan application, you would type it into your Encompass system back then, and then you would disclose the loan and get them to hand sign the disclosures that come out. I mean, the amount of effort and time and energy it would take to just do one loan and be able to do 46 million by yourself without an LOA. Like, I'm super confident. Like, I want to challenge everyone out there. There's going to be $100 million producer and loan officer without a team. And I think that's where technology and automation and AI is going, that they're going to look at us big teams and be like, y'all are super, like, If we added that, not if, when we were adding that level of technology and automation and AI, I bet we can do 400 million and work less hours.
Yeah, it's just looking at the day-to-day tasks of being a loan officer, and you get so used to doing them that it like just goes through your mind and just happens. But just taking a step back, and whether this be on the weekends or in the evenings, I'll just analyze and you have me do a 55-5, breaking down my daily schedule. And when I did that, I was like, okay, this task, let's like put something in a reminder this weekend. Let me look through those steps that I did and see if there's a better way to do this, if there's another technology we can add in. So I remember at the beginning, we were using like a Trello board. We were using Asana. We are using these email lists. We are having a morning meeting and using Jungo. I'm like, man, if I get a lead, this feels like a whole task just getting a lead. So let's figure out how to make this a little bit better.
Yeah.
But we had that in one scenario, and you were doing $200+ million.
Yeah.
So it worked. But looking through this other stuff that we get comfortable with and saying, hey, what's the better thing that I could do here? Or is there another technology that I could input that's going to help me? And something I've learned, like just with AI, is even if I don't know if there's another technology, I can ask AI if there's another technology that can help me with this task. And if there's not, great, I'll keep doing it or try to improve on it. But if there is, how do I start implementing it, or how do I start putting this into my flow of things? Because if I can save an extra 5-10 hours, I can either scale my production and keep my time the same, or I can take a break, take more time golfing, go on a trip.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I mean, how many times have I fought you over the years about my ego or my pride of wanting to do it manually instead of using AI? And I remember we go round and round and round, and it was probably like maybe just recently, 3 months ago, I spent, I don't know, it was like 17 hours of my life putting together like 7 or 8 scripts, and they were once I was done, I looked down like, these are so just like barely above average. And I remember sitting down and we ran everything through AI, and it gave me a framework, and now I absolutely love what it's built. But what took me 17 hours to do, because I was so prideful that it was my creativity, it literally took me through AI like 40 minutes, and that included me editing things from AI.
And that's where with using AI, I see a lot of people use it really bad right now, where that replaces their mind, where you can tell right away if you get an email that's ChatGPT, just even by the formatting, or Claude, you can tell if it's just like the actual AI being the brain. But when you're able to take your visions and your ideas that you've got, and then use that as almost like an assistant, or like a buddy that you're sitting and bouncing ideas off of, then that's how you're able to significantly cut down the time. Where I know you love doing it. You'll spend a weekend and spend 17 hours working up a 40-page document or a 78-page webinar. But with doing that, you have so much pride of it being you. But let's say you could work up 5 of those in the same time frame, and then now you're able to scale exponentially, or just have the next weekend to.
I mean, that's a perfect example. I probably have, in the webinar we just did, I've got invested, no baloney, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 55 to 60 hours of my life creating the webinar, and every word of the webinar, architecting the whole entire thing. And when Kai sat down to help me put together the PowerPoint for it, and he literally uploaded my Word document, spaced it out, and then like 60 seconds, it had all the slides put together. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, this project used to take Alec and I week and a half, 2 weeks to create the slides for the webinar. And he was able to do it in like less than 60 seconds. And you go in there, you tweak things, you add some graphs, so you change it for me to having 3 arms to only 2 arms, like little things like that. But like it's an absolute game changer. So what is your one favorite? Give me maybe like another 1 minute of this. What is your one favorite prompt that's helped you as a loan officer that you use through AI to help you be a better loan officer, higher conversion rate, make you more money, convert a realtor, whatever?
And so probably the easiest one for people to implement right away. And it's super simple. And following Dan Martell has helped me a lot with the way to prompt, where you want to explain like the vision or the person behind. If you're asking an expert, like what would that expert be like? Where did they go to school? what type of qualifications do they have? So I'll explain that. For like, if I'm looking at something with guidelines, it would be something about being an underwriter who's helped with Fannie Mae, who's done this with Freddie Mac, who's been in the business for this long, who is like able to negotiate with a loan officer to be able to get something across the table. So when I'm like framing the way that I'm going to ask my question, I'm not just going to say, hey, how far away do they have to live if they're getting another FHA loan?
Yeah.
And you'll still get an answer. But when I like frame who that person that I'm asking, and that AI takes on that personality essentially, and they embody a professional, they embody somebody that's trying to work with a loan officer, and you can really describe their personality. But then when you go in and ask the question, whether that be a guideline, or you do the same thing, if like you can even use your name going into ChatGPT. I've done it, and I think it knows more about 24/7 than even you do. But with me having so many conversations with it about things with being a loan officer, I can use any of the big coaches that have been out there and say, and you can even use Tony Robbins and say, how would he put together this conversation that I'm about to have with a real estate agent or a financial advisor? So biggest thing, rather than just a specific prompt, is making sure that you're framing who you want responding to you, and think of it as you have an expert in every single field. You've got to tell it which expert to be rather than just keeping it vague.
Okay. All right. We got 1 minute left in this podcast, and I'm gonna toss you a curveball. Let's see which direction you go. Usually this is where I say, hey, what is your last like encouraging words to the loan officer community out there? There's a fork in the road. That's to the right. Okay. You can go down that path. Or what is one thing that you want to rat Wally out about that no one knows, that you either want to embarrass me or throw me under the bus on? Which route you going?
Man, I can't think of something I want to throw you under the bus on. I would love to go that route, and I wish you would have told me that before, because I definitely would have went that route. But for encouragement, like the biggest thing that is a changed me in the way that, like, not only me as a loan officer, me as a leader, is doing things the best way they possibly can be done. And you've embodied that with the way that you lead people at Aspire. Like, hey, I'm not the best at this. I want to be, but you're still going to be better. Our tech guy is still going to, like, even if he's not the guy running Apple or Microsoft, he's still a really good tech guy. And you're able to say, hey, like, this isn't my thing. Here's my vision, and do it the best that you possibly can. So just analyzing everything that you do in your normal day-to-day tasks as a loan officer and saying, how can I do better at this? Because I think I'm the best. We all think we're the best. We've got the egos, we get the business end, but there's better ways to do it. There's people who have done it better. There's people who have built better systems. So just allow yourself to analyze the way that you do things, and then it'll allow you to actually take those strides and get more efficient in your business and actually have a better business and better quality of life.
I love it, dude. I appreciate you so much, man.
You can tell we kind of look like twins. We've got
yeah, they got the whip
a
squad
little time around each other.
I used to get some different colors. But thank you so much for joining. If there's any questions, anything else I can do to help, to reach out, just feel free to reach out. But I appreciate you guys. Much love.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, so from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.